All right, guys, welcome back to Thinking Man Business Labs for another episode. Today, we are lucky enough to go all the way to Tampa, Florida, with a person I've been following on Instagram for a long time. He's got an interesting story, a very great background, and a very, very successful business now. His name's Chris Cavallini, if that's how I pronounce it. Welcome to the show, Chris. How are you?
Good, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Thanks for joining us. First, I just wanted to have a bit of a chat about your background. You've obviously got an interesting background, a little bit different to probably most entrepreneurs and most successful businessmen that we've probably had on the show before. So it's going to be interesting for our viewers to have a bit of a listen to your journey and how you've come to where you are. Give us a bit of background about the business that you're in, firstly, and what you actually do, and then how you sort of got to where you got to after some of the hurdles you've had in life.
Sure. Well, my business, I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Nutrition Solutions. We're a lifestyle and meal preparation company. Basically, we do customized meal prep for people that are looking to get healthier, get in better shape, and step up performance across the board. We do a lot more than just prepare, their actual nutrition protocol. We have a team of dedicated reps that are there just to kind of support our clients throughout the process, to coach them. We have National Academy of Sports Medicine certified weight loss specialists and fitness and nutrition specialists on staff to really just, provide that layer of accountability and motivation for our clients to help them get where they want to be. Our clients mean everything to us. And, basically our mission is to help people dominate their goals and create lifestyle transformation. So been doing that since 2011. And yeah, we've come a long way in that time, for sure. The company has done, pretty well. We've had the privilege of being featured in all kinds of, high-end media publications, Forbes, Inc., Entrepreneur. And one of the things about our company that really stands out and has garnered interest is our company culture. I didn't grow up under the most conventional or traditional circumstances. I was arrested 17 times before I turned 18. I was, in and out of foster homes, group homes, spent some time in, juvenile detention centers and things of that nature. My mom had me very, very young. She had a history of substance abuse, but had some problems with drugs. My father took off before I was even born. So I didn't have the typical structure and support system at home. And, basically that just led me down that path, kind of bouncing around a bit. Didn't have a father around, and, a lot of the times when you're in a household that doesn't have stability and you don't have, that male influence, it can cause you a lot of problems, as it did with me. I mean, I had a lot of behavior problems, temper problems. I had problems with my problems. I was a problem. I started getting in trouble, and basically just I was a very insecure kid. I was very angry, and back then I used to live my life a lot differently. I did some very, very stupid things. But I don't regret anything. Honestly, I don't regret anything, because it's kind of paved the way and helped me get to where, I am today. I've undergone a significant amount of adversity throughout my life, and I'm sure we'll allude to that throughout the interview. And, the things, the hardships, the struggles, the things that I had to deal with kind of early on in life, I think really served me in the long run. Obviously during the period it was happening, not the most pleasant of circumstances, but looking back on it, I think it really kind of toughened me up and, got me acquainted and familiar with adversity from a very young age. And, adversity is essentially something we're all going to face. Those of us who are really trying to get it, trying to make stuff happen, trying to make, just a huge impact and move our lives forward, we're going to face it early and often. And, what I've learned throughout my journey is how you face adversity matters, because you're not going to avoid it. It's part of the process. It's a mandatory part of the process. And the people who, succeed and win and just continue to evolve, continue to move forward are the ones that, respect that, the ones that celebrate adversity. I celebrate adversity is a core value of my company. I mean, it's something I've learned through my trials and tribulations. It's a precursor to growth, and it's a mandatory part of the process. So the best thing you can do is take it head on, confront it with a good attitude, and just remain optimistic and know that on the other end of that adversity is a better place.
It's an amazing story, and I guess you can't tell from the way I'm dressed this morning. And we talked about it earlier. I'm a coach and mentor to businesses as well here, and I've gone through through some of my adversity at times, and it's one of those things that, like you said, it gives you strength, and at the same time it gives you that resilience that you need to get through some of the things that you need to get through. And people think that just because you're a successful businessman now, they want to see me as the overnight success, right? But they don't know the 10 years of struggles or 15 years of struggles that I had. Just about you, they might see you in Forbes now, and they just think, oh, okay, I haven't heard about this guy, but now he's the overnight success. What they haven't seen is your lifetime of struggles and tribulations. How do you handle that sometimes when people just pop up and say, oh, you're really lucky, or this has just sort of happened overnight, when you know what you've had to go through to get through where you're at?
Yeah, so that used to bother me, when I started to kind of break through and sort of begin to make things happen. I used to bother me, used to irritate me. I would get, I would take offense to it and things like that. But as I've evolved and kind of just learned more about human beings and why they do what they do, just one of those things that comes with the territory. It's something that, like, I'm aware of that other people aren't aware, and most people aren't aware they're not aware. So people want to think that, they want to think that people were gifted something, or like inherited something, or maybe stepped on people or screwed people over to get in the position that they're at today. And those who think like that typically, have what's called a fixed mindset, and it's easier for them to have that narrative and create that narrative in their own minds than to, look at the individual who, they're seeing accomplishing success or has something, that they lack. It's easier to kind of create that narrative that's convenient to our own egos than to, look at that and basically say, wow, like, obviously they have put in a lot of work, made a lot of sacrifices, and maybe I could, make some adjustments and change some things, and I too could have that result. People, most of the time, most people, they don't like seeing other people succeeding, not because it's anything personal. It's because it kind of mirrors the fact back to them, about the fact that they presently may not be, that they're not doing the things that are required and essential to move forward. So, at the end of the day, it doesn't bother me. I know people think like that, but I also know where I've come from. I know what I've done, and I'm proud of how far I've come. I've definitely done more things throughout my lifetime. I've been on this planet 37 years. I've done more things I'm not proud of than things that I am, but I am proud of the progress that I've made, and I'm very, very confident about the direction that we'll continue to go.
Yeah, that's really great. And to anyone listening, what I want you to say, what I want to say is, and I say it a lot to my students, jealousy is sort of like a cancer. So if you do see someone successful, shake their hand and congratulate them, because you really don't know what's happened and how they've got there and what they've needed to do to get there. So, you'd rather have that positive vibe within your heart and within your soul to be giving somebody that congratulations and letting them know that you're proud of them, or that they're doing a good job, rather than going straight to that, oh, yeah, dad must have given them something, mum must have given them something. They woke up and Nutrition Solution was already delivering to 1,000 households, and it just sort of happened, right? You know what I mean? And it's the same for me. It's like, Peter woke up with 20 mentoring students just out of the blue, but they don't know that I've been doing it for 13 years, and everybody was bagging me out when I first started as if it wasn't a real job, So, it's one of those things that we've all got to face in different businesses. And I just like to think that as we evolve as humans, and anyone listening and watching this podcast, evolve to the point where jealousy doesn't even come into your thing. It's like, even if they have done it the wrong way, still congratulate them and say, you know what, it's got nothing to do with me. Just congratulations, good on you, and move on. So if there's any lessons that we can take out of today is one of those things, is guys, just because, you know, obviously Chris has been through some tough times, and maybe he's done some things that, you know, maybe we wouldn't have done or whatever, but he's come through those, and now he's done well. We don't have to focus on the bad stuff. We've got to focus on the good stuff, and then he's come through it. And then when we see a friend or we've got a relative that's struggling, we know that there's hope for them still. So it's,
Right. I
it's,
agree.
you know, and it's, and I've seen you, like I said, I've been following you on Instagram, and you've got a big, a lot of stuff that you do with your staff. I see the fitness is a big thing, obviously, for you, but also you sort of involve your staff in that. Let us know how that sort of works when you involve your staff in your fitness, and involving them in all around lifestyle choices and things like that. Is that part of your culture and something that you try to instill in them?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I alluded earlier in the interview about the fact that our culture is very unique, and it's received recognition on, on a global scale, because we have several elements of it that are pretty, you know, just out there. You don't really see them in places, but
Sure.
personal development is really important to me. Fitness is extremely important to me. Giving back, and just helping people that, you know, need help more than, you know, I once did.
Mm-hmm.
That is important to me. And those are three things, you know, the gratitude, the fitness, and the personal development. Those are three things that allowed me to go from, you know, being a drug dealer, which I was a drug dealer for a lot of years. I mean, you know, eight, 9 years, I was selling illegal steroids for, and that's what I was doing. I wasn't doing it on the side. I had no job. That was my job. And basically I got to a point where I knew I needed to make some changes. I wanted to change my life. I wanted to change my ways. I wanted my life to look different. I wanted to feel different. I got to a point where I was just disgusted with myself, and I didn't like the way that I felt when I was just all alone with my thoughts. And, you know, how you feel about yourself when you're all alone. I mean, I think that's really as good of a metrics of success than anything.
Yeah,
And,
so true.
you know, I wasn't feeling very good about what was going on. And I knew that it was time to make some changes. And, you know, things don't happen overnight. I had truly no idea what I wanted to do or what I could do. But what I did know is that I didn't want to stay where I was. And I started to think really long and hard about what would happen if I didn't make the changes that, you know, I needed to make. And, you know, that just kind of motivated me and lit a fire into my ass to start doing everything and anything in my power to become a better person, to evolve as a human. And, you know, those things were personal development, reading every single book that I could get my hands on that were related to personal development, training, exercising, you know, just getting in the best shape that I could. Somewhere along the way, I developed an awareness about the fact that the more I worked out, and, you know, when you're going through a massive life change like I was, I mean, doing everything I could to prime myself to feel good was pretty important, and it still is pretty important. So, you know, and then gratitude, like giving back. I mean, I through my personal development journey, I learned that, you know, if you're struggling and you're not really feeling good about yourself, and, you know, you want to basically go out of the negative state you're in, whether you're sad, whether you're depressed, anxious, angry, all of these things, that, you know, the key to antidote to that was gratitude, was getting out there and helping someone who needs help more than you. And basically, when I volunteered, I scouted out an opportunity online to go volunteer and serve the homeless. And I walked into that situation, and I was changed immediately. I had never felt the feeling that had kind of came over me that day, as far as, you know, I get there, I drive there, and whatever car I was driving, probably pretty nice car. And, you know, there's a line around the building of the place, you know, these homeless women and children just waiting in line, you know, around the building just to get a meal. And that kind of hit me. And, you know, here I am complaining about my life and bitching about my circumstances. And then I have this experience, and it was powerful. And then, once I got in there and started serving, I was, on the line and serving the food, whatever. They would come by and they were just so grateful and just thankful, and just like we're, obviously not in the best position in their life, but they just seemed genuinely happy that people gave a shit. And the feeling of gratitude that they gave me, like what I felt in return, was just really powerful. And it made me feel alive. It made me feel like something that I'd never really experienced before. It made me feel like this was something that I wanted to have in my life all the time. And I basically committed from that point forward to figure out what I could do to feel like that all the time, and experience those feelings. And long story short, I started Nutrition Solutions, and throughout the years we've evolved and changed things. And in 2016, I just gotten through a massive crisis of a year in 2015, and I committed to making some significant changes, and taking nothing for granted, and being just so grateful for every second of every day, and doing everything I could to do my best and make the biggest impact in the world. And that's really when I kind of changed my mindset towards the business and started incorporating these unique elements into the culture to make it special. And, to your point, some of those things are like, I pay my team to exercise, like not just any exercise, very, very hard, structured, kind of like
Sure. Yeah, I've seen
CrossFit
it.
style HIIT workout. We get out there Wednesdays and Fridays, the workouts, and they're on the clock. They're getting paid to do that, and do that early in the morning before the day, just kind of prime them into that, just like get them into beast mode. And then they go from that elevated state and then go attack the day. But that's an investment I make. I mean, I would be stupid not to make that investment. I mean, not only does it make them more physically fit, but it makes them more mentally fit. Those really, really hard, intense workouts where, people are throwing up, people are really, really struggling. I mean, we're not playing any games over there. I mean, if I'm investing in that, I'm gonna get my money's worth. So,
I know.
But at the end of it, it's also an opportunity to improve your discipline, your mental toughness, the team's camaraderie and cohesion. When you do hard things with a group, with a team, whether it's in sports, business, or the military, when you go through hard things together, it just has a funny way of kind of bringing people together and having them have more respect for one another, and just kind of like I got your back, like no matter what, like we might mess with each other, but nobody else can mess with us. And
That's awesome.
that's kind of the whole vibe with that, and the reason behind it. And with the personal development, same thing. I paid them to do personal development, whether it's bringing in speakers, sending them to seminars, or the hour of personal development we do every single day during operation hours. I mean, I want them to basically follow the same path that I did to take me from being a drug dealer with no goals, no future, like no hope, to where I am now, which is I'm the CEO of a very fast growing company that, I mean, we're it in our industry, like we're it. And I've obviously made some money and impacted some lives and all that, and I have an amazing team. But at the end of the day, we're just getting started, and I believe that we have just begun to scratch the surface of what we will ultimately one day do.
Yeah, that's brilliant to hear, and it's great for our listeners to hear some different ways in the way that you're engaging teams, and the way leaders today are engaging teams. Because maybe 10 years ago we would have had this interview, I would have been in a suit and a tie, you probably would have been in a suit and a tie, and it all would have been very formal. But we all know that there's a time for a place for a suit and a tie, but at the end of the day we're all human, and it doesn't actually matter what we're wearing. What matters is what's here and what's inside. And I think one of the real important points that you touched on there that I want to explore a little bit, and a lot of our listeners probably have this feeling, is sometimes when you lie down back on your pillow and you've got that feeling, and you're left with your own thoughts, like you said, when you're doing some things that you probably shouldn't have been doing. that's always going to happen when you deal when you do a deal with the devil, or you're doing something wrong. You're always left with that with yourself at the end of the day. You might be making great money as a drug dealer or whatever it is that you're doing in business that might be right or wrong. You're still left with your own thoughts at the end of the day. So what sort of life is that? And to anybody out there that's got that feeling, or you're doing the wrong thing, and you can't sleep, well, I challenge you, like, what's life worth to you if you can't sleep, or you're watching your back every 5 seconds, or you're doing all that sort of stuff? If that makes sense, you've been through that.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it makes perfect sense.
So with that said, I mean, obviously you've got some great business practices. One of the posts that I saw the other day where you said the business is going really well, but there were a couple of small things that you weren't really happy with, and you did a post about ownership, and you said, I take all ownership, and you apologized to some of your customers about some of the things that have been happening, and you didn't say any specifics, but it sounded like they were really small, but it was still a really big post for me. When I watched it, I'm like, this is a guy that's leading from the top. How do you go about that? Can you see and can you see that chain reaction go through the team when you do something like that?
Yeah, I mean, the acceptance of personal responsibility is one of the most important things that we can do for ourselves as human beings. Sadly, most people go their entire life and they never accept responsibility for their life. And as somebody who lived the overwhelming majority of his life not taking responsibility over anything, playing the victim, having a victim mindset, thinking that, my past, the experiences that I've been through, like my mother, like just the trauma of my childhood, all these things, and the fact that I've been arrested so many times. I was arrested so many times, and I would tell myself this story that, well, because I've been arrested so many times and I have this record, I'll never be able to do anything like that I could be proud of. I'll never be able to, become this, and I'll just always be this. And it's because of all, whatever. And it's just really sad. It's really sad that this is something that's so prevalent in society. At the same time, it's difficult for me to judge because I lived that way for so long. And through my studies, through, my pursuit of becoming the best person I could become. I mean, just one day, I just realized that, like, all these stories that I was telling myself, this narrative that I created to basically let myself off the hook. And then this victim mentality, I realized that all the things that I were saying, I mean, they were lies. I was lying to myself. I mean, I was lying to anybody who would listen, but moreover, I was lying to myself. And it was a big deal because I wasn't aware that that's what I was doing for so long. And most people don't. So yeah, like when I began to take responsibility for my life, that's when good things started to, like, legitimately. I mean, that's when good things started to happen. And one of the things that was just a massive kind of testimonial of just how powerful personal responsibility is when I got in trouble in 2015, went through a extensive legal process, multiple felony sales of controlled substance. And it was for crimes that I committed 3 years prior. Long story short, like, going in, I got set up, and I went and talked to my attorneys. They said, well, they got the audio recording on this, and then this other thing, they only got like some pictures, and I think we can get that thrown out, and like we can make a case for the audio. And I'm like, look, like, thank you. And I came to you because you're the best. And I hired you to do your job and to do it well. I said, but I cannot go into this and act like I didn't do what they're accusing me of doing, because, like, I don't want to insult these people's intelligence. They've been doing it on me for a long time. We knew that. And to believe that the 2 or 3 times I was set up, the 3 different times that I was set up, that were the only times that I'd ever broken the law. So I was like, look, I got to own this. I've made some changes, a lot of changes. I worked really hard to change my ways. I'd walked out of that life 3 years prior, completely just done. And I started the company and was in a different place. And I was like, I have really been working on myself just to better myself as a person, not only with business and legitimate capacity, but as a human being. I had different mentorships with the Warrior Project, different organizations I went and spoke to just work with kids who are a little off track, maybe walking the path that I like once did, and just did everything I could to share my story. And then through, you know, my experiences and just giving them a different perspective, help them turn their life. These are things that were very, very important to me and were like anchors in my, the process of me building myself into becoming the person that I am today. So when, you know, we 2016, when I started making those changes in the company, one of the core values that I implemented was that of extreme ownership. And extreme ownership is basically like personal responsibility on steroids for like the layman. It's basically taking ownership over everything, recognizing everything is your responsibility. And that's what leaders need to do. You know, if we're a leader, like you own it all, like everything is your fault. You are responsible for everything that happens within the scope of your organization, team, and, you know, anything else that could kind of branch out, you know, from that. And it's one of those things where it is effective because in business and in life, you know, problems are, I mean, that's certain, like that's a certainty, like not too many things are certain in life. You're going to have problems. And
Yes.
again, if you're in business, or again, you're someone who is just working in a business, but working really, really hard to advance and kind of move yourself up the ladder, so to speak, like you're going to run into problems. You're going to run into situations that are going to test your will, test your mentality, and basically try to fucking break you.
Yeah.
And what you do in those situations determines where you go. And if you're not taking responsibility over problems, if, you know, you're blaming other people and other things and other fictitious circumstances to justify a substandard performance, well, you will never get those problems solved. The first step in solving a problem is taking responsibility over it. You know, like, look, this is on me. This is a problem. Here's what I'm going to do to fix it. Anybody involved that needs to know what's up, like you let them know what you're going to do, and then you go out and you fucking do it. You know, like, you know, at my company, there always will, because we're always going to be growing. We're always going to be striving for that next level. And with growth, you know, it comes some degree of discomfort and, you know, challenges and things like that. But there were just some really stupid things that, you know, I obviously didn't catch in real time, which again, I mean, that's on me. I clearly wasn't doing my job. But some little things that were to affect our clients, and it bothered me. It really bothered me, and kind of, you know, tore me up inside a little, because these are not things that I feel like these are problems, like the level of problems that we were having 3 years ago. So to feel that like regression, and to know that our clients and customers, like, you know, even if, you know, it was only a couple of them that noticed, because that's the thing, you know, it was little things, but the little things are the big things, and the details are the things that I focus on more than anything. And the little details, you know, you have to master those. You have to become just a master of the universe as it pertains to little things, because if you don't, like, you have no hope on ever doing anything with the big things. So, you know, some of these little things that I caught, like, it was very disappointing. It was very disappointing. And, you know, there's nobody to blame but me, but I just felt it was appropriate to just go on my social and just let my hide from it. Like, this is a problem, and it's like, best believe I'm going to fucking fix it. And, you know, I think people appreciate that and respect that. I definitely got an overwhelmingly positive response from that. And it actually, interestingly enough, elicited a ton of positive feedback from some of the clients that actually follow us. So that was cool. But at the same time, it holds me accountable. Like, I put it out there and I said what I'm going to do. Now I better go do it. And I think, you know, most people shy away from accountability. Accountability is your friend. And, you know, the more accountability you can have in your life, like, the better your life is going to be. So anything I can do to hold my own feet to the fire, put my own back against the wall, and just, you know, force the result that I'm after, you know, I'm going to take advantage of that.
Yeah. And I think that's a big learning for a lot of leaders, and especially people that are running their own businesses or are their own CEOs and things like that. They need to appreciate that, because there's a certain level of delegation, obviously, and a certain level of trust which we have to have in our staff. There's no question about that. But when
Of
the
course.
proverbial shit hits the fan, you've got to step up and take responsibility. And that's what you've done. Sometimes managers, and I've noticed this in the past, that they do the reverse. They think just because they've got this people that they delegated to, that the full responsibility is on the person that they've delegated it to.
Yeah,
If that makes sense, and the
it's not true.
responsibility is no longer theirs.
Yeah,
It's not true.
that's no, it's absolutely not true. That's loser talk and loser way of thinking. And I don't say that to be mean. I say that like in the literal sense, like losers think that way.
Mm.
Like, like at the end of the day, like there are winners and losers, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no ties in the hierarchy of human life. Like winners take responsibility, and like taking responsibility is a win in and of itself.
Mm.
If you fail, you fall, and something goes completely fucking sideways, which is almost a certainty in life. I mean, that is your life.
Yeah.
Like if you start blaming other people and other things, and saying, well, this person was like, dude, you have fucking lost. You have solidified like just the fact that you're a loser. And like, I know a lot of people think like that. I know a lot of people operate like that. I know a lot of people live like that, but that doesn't mean it's okay. And you've got to recognize that. I was one of those people.
Mm.
And that's why I guess I feel so comfortable like speaking on this. So like, I mean, directly and matter of factly, like I don't really care about hurting people's feelings. In fact, I hope I hurt people's feelings, because when your feelings get hurt by a statement like that, that is always an indication that whatever is being said is actually something deep down that you need to improve on, an area of your life that you're lacking. People get their feelings hurt when they hear the truth, and the truth is not flattering in nature. But the thing is, man, the truth, it might sting. It might hurt real bad. But fuck, I mean,
Mm.
without it, like you do not have the opportunity to move forward. The truth may hurt, but it's the literal only thing that will set you free and basically allow you to free yourself of your own toxic negative thoughts and bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, it's so true. It's the oldest saying in the book, isn't it? The truth shall set you free. But it's the truth, man. It is what it is.
It is. The truth set me free. The
Yeah.
truth set me free when I was living a lie for so many years, and when I finally came out and basically put it out there what I had been doing. Okay, it was
Yeah.
no secret. Like most people who knew me knew what I was doing, but I wasn't honest about it. I mean, what I was doing was illegal, so I
Yeah.
had this cover story, and when
Yeah.
I wanted to change my life, one of the things that I guess learned the importance of is just owning it, owning your wins, owning your losses, owning it all, and just being honest. And in things that you're insecure about, things that deep down like really scare the hell out of you. Like you got to put it out there. You got to put it out there. And I was always so scared that people would never take me seriously. That people would look at me as like just being like low life scum of the earth if
Mm.
they heard that I was a drug dealer, and then they wouldn't understand, especially people who didn't really know me and didn't know like my personality. They'd always typecast me based off what I've done. And I got it out, and I was terrified. I was terrified of what was going to happen. But the funny thing was, like, the opposite of what I guess I was worried about happening actually happened. And it gave me a significant amount of respect. It gave me a significant amount of just like recognition, because apparently it's such a rare thing that people feel so comfortable like putting all their bullshit out there, things that don't really make them look good, things that
Yeah.
are not good. But the fact is, I was I was ready to move on, and I basically wanted to put my cards on the table, not to anybody in particular, but just to the universe. And I just realized that, like if I try to just go through this and just try to pretend like, the last 10 years of my life I wasn't doing what I was doing, that's probably not going to go well.
Mhm.
And eventually I'm probably going to have to answer to it. So I need to stay ahead of that. I need to go on offense and just put it out there. And you
Yeah.
know what? Those who judge me and those who thought negatively, I respect that. I understand and I get it. But you know, the funny thing is, like I said, it just earned me a lot of respect. And again, just was another situation where I was able to witness and experience how powerful it is to take responsibility and just to own it, even when it's not good, even when it's the opposite of good.
Mm.
And you know, you take responsibility, good things happen. You take responsibility and you take control of your life. If you do not take responsibility and you feel that, like, you know, other people, your parents, the city you grew up in, the fact you didn't have much money growing up, you didn't go to school, like, you know, you don't have a mentor, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
if you think that those are the things that are hindering you from actually like living a life that you want to live, like, you're fucked. Like, you
Yeah.
ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
You're giving power and control of your life to some other fucking thing, and that ain't smart, because we only get one life and it goes by quick.
It's so, I mean, it's so true. And to anyone, to anyone listening, and it's not a failure. It's one of those things that there's a lot of people that have built their life on a house of cards, you know, and on a couple of lies or whatever it might be, mate. That's going to come crashing down sooner or later. And when it comes crashing down, you're not going to be healthy. You're not going to be well. You're not going to handle it well. And if anyone can take any lessons here from what Chris has said, if you're in a bit of a lull, if you've been through some trauma, I've done a lot of work with domestic violence here in Australia and sat on some boards and seen some real tragic situations. And a lot of them don't have that victim mentality. A lot of them have just sort of given up, rather than they've just sort of gone quiet and not done anything. So if anyone's watching or listening to Chris's story, I want you to get motivated by the fact that he took ownership, that he started to do self-development. And I bet you now, if I ask him the next question, which is, are you still doing self-development? His answer is going to be, fuck yes. I bet you he still is. He's still doing it every day. He's still going to seminars, still watching some of his mentors, still getting mentors, all that sort of stuff. So what are you doing now, Chris? He's still learning, still doing stuff every day to get better. Still, what's the story now that you have accepted everything, you've moved on, you've got a successful business that's growing? What, you don't just stop now, do you? Right?
No, I mean, now present day, I do more personal development than I've ever done. I'm reading more, I'm studying more, I'm branching out more as far as different outlets and areas to educate myself on, to kind of further my knowledge base and skill set. I mean, at this point, I'm legitimately doing more personal development than I've ever done. Personal development is not something you did, it's something you do.
Yes.
And that's it's not like what same, you know, there's a lot of correlations between personal development and fitness. And we'll talk specifically about physical fitness. Like, you couldn't expect to work out really, really hard and eat really, really well for 4 or 5 years, get in amazing shape, and then just stop doing those things and go back to eating at the drive-through and the takeout and eating like shit, and expect to stay sharp, expect to stay fit, expect to, you know, have high peak levels of energy and have your performance essentially operating at optimal levels. It's something you have to do every day. And that's how you get the results from it. You know, reading the occasional book, that's not doing personal development. That's reading a book once in a while.
Yeah.
Personal development is a lifestyle. It's part of your lifestyle. And I believe it's the most important work of your life. I believe that our health, number one priority, and personal development is that's what basically it is. I mean, you're working on improving your physical and mental health. I mean, without your health, you have nothing, like nothing. And if you're not working to develop yourself as a person, like, you're going to be in the exact same fucking spot you are now. And look, like, I don't know who's listening to this, right? Like, there might be someone on this planet who, for whatever reason, wants to completely stay where they're at and never have their circumstances change. The problem with that is, like, biologically, that's like not how human beings are wired. Human beings are wired to progress, to evolve, to move forward. Happiness, which is essentially what everybody claims to want, and really what we're all searching for deep down at the end of the day. Happiness is a byproduct of progress. So when we make progress, when we're working towards something, whether it's a personal goal, a financial goal, a business goal, a fitness goal, and we're you know, making improvements, hitting little markers and stuff on our path to getting to that finish line. Like the best stuff happens during the process. When you hit that goal, like you quickly realize like, damn, like it feels good for a minute, but then you kind of go backwards because you're not on that chase anymore, which is why, it's so important to consistently up the bar, raise the standard, and set higher goals. But the key to happiness in life is progress. Happiness is a product of neurochemistry. So like at the end of the day, we should all be striving to become better at something. And it doesn't look, if money is not your thing, which I get, it's not everybody's thing. I mean, if that's not important to you, like make sure you're doing enough to where you can support yourself and support your family to where you're comfortable. But like, whatever's important to you, maybe giving back and helping other people and an organization that is near and dear to you, whether one that helps kids or people with substance abuse, or individuals that, have some sort of disease that someone that meant a lot to you passed away from. Like, figure out a way to do that at a higher level, to be better at that, to get more proficient at living your life. Because at the end of the day, like I said, we only got one of these things, man. We get one life, and we gotta make the best of it. And the way we do that is just by doing our best with everything that we do, and understanding that like time is, it's finite. It's finite. And the better we do, like the better we feel, and the better we feel, the better reality that we create for ourselves. So want to do as much as possible to make ourselves feel good, to make our body feel good, to make our mind feel good. And when we feel good in our minds, we essentially create a positive situation in our reality. But if we don't, then it's the opposite. If you don't feel good inside because you're eating like shit, you're not exercising, you're not being kind, like you're just disgruntled, and you're not making any progress in your life because, you prefer to watch 5 to 6 hours of Netflix every single evening. Like, you deserve to feel like shit. Like happiness and feeling good about ourselves, man. I wish I could sit here and say like, you're entitled to that. And it's just not true. Like it absolutely has to be earned. There's nobody out there who's truly happy, who's truly fulfilled, who's out there living an amazing life, who isn't doing a lot to facilitate that outcome. Like, you don't just get up and feel good about yourself for no reason. You have to do something and do something consistently to earn that right, to earn that peak positive mental state. And yeah, like a lot of people miss the boat on that. Like they're wondering why they feel like shit all the time, but they're not taking the action, the simple action that is in their own best interest to make it happen. I mean, exercise, eating good, meditation, breath work, like all these things. I mean, there's a reason, like you hear about it as being as important as it is. And the fact is, like, if more people just kind of took advantage of like all the knowledge, it's out there, man. It's out there. People are doing it. People are doing it. And again, this is just for people who want to be better, right? I'm not judging if someone is like, if they're doing good and then they found a protocol that works for them, and like, it's about progress, not perfection.
Sure.
My message is more for the people who aren't where they want to be and are complaining about it, yet they're not taking any level of action to do something to the contrary of what they're currently doing.
But it's so true. I think the way you said, you've got to continually move stuff. Like you said, you get to a certain point and you're like, okay, what now? It's the same thing for professional athletes. How many times do we see them either commit suicide or go into depression after their careers finish because their level of peak performance or working for something every day stops once they retire or whatever, and then they've got to find something else to be passionate about, and they struggle to do that. Hard. So it must be really tough. And I'm sure you've known a lot of sports stars athletes that have probably gone through, or athletes that have gone through that have gone through this, and maybe they've talked to you about it. So it's a very difficult transition
it is
to do.
I mean, transitioning in life is hard, period. When I transitioned out of the military, I joined the military after high school, was given an ultimatum, go to jail for 7 months or join the military. I joined the military, spent 5 years in the Navy. I was a Navy diver in just an amazing elite community, working with just some very squirt away highly trained individuals. I was a young kid. They took me under their wing, helped me become a just better human being, a better man. I was a boy, a little boy, and they helped, they helped develop me into a man, and taught me the importance of discipline, the structure,
Yeah.
taking pride in the details, attention to detail, the importance of honor, courage, and commitment, and did a lot of good things for me. And I was in for 5 years, and then I got out, and I lost that structure. I lost just everything that I had just developed in the last 5 years, and I was on my own again. And I went off the track. I went like completely off the path massively.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's interesting, how quickly you can lose it all.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
purpose is important. We need to find our purpose. We need to have that thing that we work toward, to just to know that, like, look, this is why I was put on this planet. And that could come in so many ways, but nobody can tell you what that is. Like, your purpose that's something that you have to figure out. And it's hard. Like, it's not an easy thing where, you hear this, if you, this is something that you struggle with, you don't hear something like this and all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, it requires thought, it requires energy, it requires focus, and it requires patience. Like, you have to understand that if you're not where you want to be, like I was, saying I wasn't where I want to be is an understatement. I hated my life. I was disgusted with my life. And although, like, I've made some, obviously, a 180-degree turn currently from where I was. I'm 37 now. Like, I started like with the personal development, like when I was 27. Like, I probably cracked my first book at that point. And it's taken a long time to get to this point. It's been filled with adversity. There's been a lot of struggles. There's been a lot of setbacks. Things didn't go as planned, probably more than they did go as planned. But looking back, the time has flown. The things that I've learned, the relationships I've developed, the person I become in the process, like, I realize that all those lessons and those experiences, they happen for a reason. So you got to really learn to respect the process. And when they say, you got to fall in love with the process, basically what that means is just developing an understanding and awareness that, like, the process is where the magic happens. You don't have to you don't fall in love with, being a multimillionaire, if that's something you want to do, right? You have to fall in love with, like, the discipline, the structure, the schedule, the levels of organization that a multimillionaire would deploy in his or her life. So you fall in love with the things that you need to do to become the person that you want to be. And that's what it means by learning to love the process.
Yeah, sure. And talking about loving the process, what about the business now itself? How's that? It's gone from strength to strength. COVID sort of happened. How are you guys going in relation to the business itself? Is it growing?
Amazing.
Are you happy with where it's at?
Happy, I guess. I don't know what you mean by that. Like, like, it's okay. Like, we grew our business during the pandemic.
Right.
I kind of anticipated, when I started to see what was kind of happening in the world in the end of February, I had an idea that things were going to get pretty messy for a little while. And I also saw opportunity there. I knew that if, we stayed on offense and, we did the right thing and basically made some changes as far as our marketing is concerned and our message to just let people know, like you have options. And this whole pandemic, one of the positive things to come out of it was people finally, for the first time, perhaps ever, having to really focus on health and just having health and what it means to be healthy and what are the potential consequences if you're not healthy. People had to come to terms with that and really start thinking about, like, wow, okay, this is a real thing. This COVID, this is like a warning shot, man. Like, the whole thing, like, obviously, I don't know what your opinion is. I don't really care to get into that, but clearly it's been blown massively out of fucking proportion.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there are still some things that have come out that have just shown, like, people who are immunocompromised. And that's just not something like happens. People don't just get immunocompromised because they're just living their most healthy life and they're poor, unfortunate. No, it's like they've have some sort of disease that, 70+% of disease is actually preventable. 70% of people who get disease get disease because of their lifestyle habits. So like, these are the
Sure.
things I think that kind of people started to have to think about. And really, one of the thing that impacts our immune system more than any other variable is nutrition. I mean, what you eat determines so much. And one of those things is people understanding that being healthy, that doesn't mean like just because you're not sick. Like if you're not sick right now, that doesn't mean or haven't been diagnosed with disease, doesn't mean you're healthy.
Yeah,
Like
exactly right.
it's a little more complicated than that, but that's what
Yeah,
a lot of people kind of thought. And now we're realizing that, like there's some severe consequences down the line, if we're not taking care of ourselves, as far as, cancer, diabetes, all these things, like just feeling like shit all the time, right? Like lack of confidence, depression, all these things. But also now we're seeing that, there are some things that could kind of sneak up on us should a virus or something along those lines kind of pop up again. And if
sure.
you're someone who's like significantly overweight, not eating good, like doesn't live an active lifestyle and doing things to strengthen your immunity, like you're going to be, it's like one of those things like only the strong survive type thing. Like you're going to be one of the weak ones at the bottom of the food chain that succumbs to this thing. So we just have to realize that our life is our responsibility, and we are free to do what we want, take our life any direction that we want to take it to. But the fact is, our lives are best lived being in a state of just good health, right? Gratitude, and just setting our just actions up in such a way where like the end result is us being able to look, feel, and function at our absolute best. And the exercise, the foods that we put in our body, there's nothing that impacts those things more so than anything else. So we just have to recognize that and understand that the better we take care of ourselves, the better we take care of our health, the better our health and our immune systems and such are going to be able to take care of us when those worst case scenarios pop up and we really need them to.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's fantastic information there about how we can be compromised by some of the nutrition and some of the food that we eat. And it's really easy now, obviously, in a pandemic, especially Australia's got some of the worst lockdown laws in the world at the moment. And it's very easy to just get Uber Eats and all that sort of stuff.
Well, if you're going to do that, hey, look, if you're going to do that, that's cool. Just make sure like you're getting something that's like, be health conscious. You can order out, but I mean, if you're ordering pizza and burgers from the fast food establishment, that's not going to, help you out. Like you just have to be mindful about what you're eating. And most people know what it means to eat healthy. They just don't have like the skills, the knowledge, or the desire to like put in that work and like, go and shop and then prep and weigh your food and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So like, you don't have to worry about calculating every macro. People have an objective understanding of what's good, like, right? Like a lot of vegetables, lean cuts of protein, like drink lots of water. Start with that. I mean, if you're on the couch now doing, Uber Eats, like anything is better than what you're doing. So just to the best of your ability, use good judgment and just learn as you go. The problem is people overwhelm themselves with this thought and this idea that they have to be like a nutritionist or have a nutritionist write them a diet plan in order to eat good. And it's like, that's just not true.
Let's talk when I'm talking to people. It's like they always want to go from here to here. It's like, how about first go from here to, let's just first go from here to here and then see how you go. And then go to there and then go from, and then it works better that way, because the obstacle from there to there, you're going to last 2 days or a day,
Fact.
So look, Chris, it's been awesome having you on. Thanks. I really appreciate your time. A couple more.
I appreciate your follow-up.
No, that's all good, man. I'm a bit of a dog with a bone sometimes. When I do want to talk to someone, I
love it. I love it. I appreciate that so much, man. That you definitely earned my respect, because you saw what you wanted and you made it happen. And I really, really just wanted to point that out, man.
No worries. I've got a couple more questions. So, what's Nutrition Solutions? What's the next steps for you? What's the big dream? What's the big goal there? Or
the goal is to just keep doing what we're doing, but just do it at a higher level, lives to help more people get healthier, to be better. And what I mean by that is both the customers that we have the privilege of serving and taking care of, and the team that comes to Nutrition Solutions, team that works at the company. I mean, my objective with every single one of them is to help them develop and help them reach their maximum potential, and to basically have them come in the door and just continuously raise the bar and become just more evolved human beings. And I want to keep doing what we're doing. I just would like to do it a little more efficiently, and I would like to do it at a higher level. And it's just like anything, you put one foot in front of the other, and you have the goal in mind, and you just step up to the plate, you swing, and sometimes you connect, sometimes you strike out, but what matters is you keep showing up for more.
That's it. Good on you.
Well, sometimes you get hit in the head with the ball too. That happens. So
it's happened to all of us. It's how we react to it. So how do you guys work with ambassadors? Because I've seen you've obviously got a lot of friends, a lot of sports friends and elite athletes, some in the wrestling world, which I've noticed that you've got as well. Are they ambassadors, or are they more like friends to you now?
So everybody that you're referring to are actually just friends of mine that are customers, and most of them, there's a couple of them that don't pay, and the reason they don't pay is because they have got us so much, they have brought in so much business for us that I just couldn't responsibly, and that was like an argument in itself, like getting them to agree not to pay. But we're pretty selective about how we do it. Like people who are ambassadors for our company or represent our company, most of them that you see are just people who just love our culture and love like being part of it and represent us, in the right way. So that's kind of how it works. Like the best is to have people who actually believe in what you're doing, actually use the product, and can intelligently speak on, what the hell's going on, because people resonate. People know like who's bullshitting and who's not. And authenticity is important to me. Transparency is important to me. And I have no interest in paying somebody to talk about our company, which I know is good. I mean, I know we're good. I mean, we work really, really fucking hard to be good. I don't want to pay somebody to talk about how we're good, but in an unauthentic way, because they really have no objective understanding. So we do have some, and the ones that we have are like people that have been with us a while, supported us for a while, and that we decided were worth, investing in, as far as giving them sponsorships, whether, some of them, depending on where they're at in the level of life, some get salary, and we can salary and commissions, and we take care of their actual nutrition programs, and others that are just kind of starting out and have a lower level of influence right now, they get their nutrition programs provided for them, and they'll get commissions. So it works out good. It works out good for everybody. And the fact is, we don't want to ever feel like we don't want anybody to ever feel stressed about representing our brand. We want everybody to, I don't have contracts with any of these people. It's one of the things, if you want to be here, we're here, and let's go. But if at any point in time it no longer works, no hard feelings. When you're talking about Nutrition Solutions, you're talking about family, and that's just kind of how we ride.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how does it feel now? After the stuff that you've been through, like you said, the journey that you've been through, where you didn't feel good about yourself or respected or like anybody, and now you've got people that are gravitating to you, the positivity. So it's obviously that change that you talked about earlier, where it's like you're giving off that positive energy and that positive vibe, and now that's coming back to you in the format of some elite athletes. And people might not look at WWE stars as elite athletes, but they're bloody elite athletes. When you look at some of the stuff that some of the guys like Rey Mysterio and Jinder Mahal, they're peak. And
we've had Rob Gronkowski was with us for a while, so we've had the ones that you're referring to are probably just my homies that you might see me in photos with and stuff. But we have two of the best fitness influencers in the world, the biggest fitness celebrities, international fitness celebrities, are with our company. And but to answer your question, it feels good. I mean, it feels amazing to know that there's people that I've met through the company that I used to look up to as a kid, and used to watch as a kid, and used to think were a superhero as a kid. And now these are my friends. So it feels good. Every time I do think about that, it's always kind of nostalgic. And,
Yeah.
you know, I will never forget where I came from. Where I came from looks a hell of a lot different than, you know, where I'm at now. But I think it's important for me every once in a while to kind of reel it back in and just do a self-assessment. You know, sometimes I'm pretty hard on myself. I feel,
Mm.
you know, I feel like I should be a lot further ahead of where I am now. I've made I mean, a lot of mistakes. I've fucking fell short, you know, on so many times. It's ridiculous. And there are things that I just, looking back on, you know, I felt like I was in a position to maybe have a better outcome materialize. But at the end of the day, like, when I focus on the things that matter, which is like the progress,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's when you really kind of get an objective understanding of where you're at. Because it gets very easy. It's a very easy to kind of look at the things that you're lacking, the things that you don't have, the things that haven't gone well or haven't
Mm.
gone right,
Of
or,
course.
you know, the fact that where you're at, but where you really want to be. Like, it's easy. And it's actually, that is in our nature to
Mm.
think like that. Our brains are designed to have that type of, you know, thought pattern, which is why the personal development is so important, because it teaches you how to think different. It teaches you how to think like the way that you're supposed to think if you want to, like, just dominate in life. It
Mm-hmm.
teaches you to think like a winner. And, you know, when I do that self-reflecting, it makes me realize that, you know, although I'm nowhere close to where I want to be and where I know I one day will be, the progress is there. And, you know, there's some good that comes out of that, because when you are able to see that, you get that validation that you're on the right path. You get that
Yeah.
validation that the things that you're doing are
Yeah.
actually fucking working. And that you also get the validation that you need to do a better job of realigning and controlling your focus, and focusing on not what you don't have, and, like, you know, not being where you want to be, but looking at what you do have, being very grateful and appreciative of that, acknowledging things that, you know, you don't have, and recognizing that, certainly. But you also have to, you know, realize that, like, things take time. And
Mm.
the better state of mind and state of being that you can be in, as far as keeping a healthy, positive mindset and not succumbing to negativity, which so many people fucking do, the quicker you're going to get from where you're at to where you want to be. Because, you know, when you're negative and shitty and, you
Yeah.
know, like, nothing good comes from that state of being,
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately.
And at the end of the day, like, no one's perfect. I'm sure you still have your shit days,
Of
but you
course.
persevere
Yeah.
through it. And if I can leave anyone with this tip as we sort of end this podcast, what do you do on those days? Because you still have those shitty days. You still have those days where you wake up and you feel completely fucked, or not in the zone, or whatever it might be, or you might slip up, not slip up, but you might have a night out with the boys, and
Hmm.
you don't feel great the next day. It's normal, right? You're still going to have nights out where you want to have a good time, and
And
yeah,
for just not just that, like, that happens. But look, the fact is, you're going to get up for any number of reasons on any given day for any given reason, and not be feeling it,
mm-hmm,
right? Not be feeling like getting up early, going and, you know, doing that really hard work that you need to do that day to get you where you want to be. But what I've learned through my journey, and the the process that, you know, I've experienced at this point, is you got to go anyway. You
yeah,
absolutely have to go anyway. And you have to realize that your feelings don't matter. It doesn't
yeah,
matter how you feel. The fact that you're not feeling like doing it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. I think people don't get that part right. They think that because they're not feeling it,
mm-hmm,
that means that they should just stay in bed, or that means they should, like, put it off till another day, and all these things. And it's not true. Like, the difference between the pro and the amateur is the pro acts in spite of his feelings. The pro makes a plan and executes the plan and gets the result.
yeah,
The amateur, you know, they look at what needs to be done, and depending on, you know, how hard they make a decision on what they do and how they do it, depending on how difficult it's going to be, right? Like the level of comfort or discomfort that they're going to experience. And, people have to really learn to lean into discomfort,
Yeah.
because the more you can proactively, voluntarily put yourself in very uncomfortable scenarios, whether it's doing the intense workouts that we alluded to earlier that we put our team through, or just, doing long 20, 25 minutes in the sauna at 180 degrees, ice baths, taking a cold shower first thing in the morning, right? That's, something people could do. That's very, very easy. Like all of these opportunities to proactively seek out discomfort, just basically condition our physiology and our brains to get a better understanding of like these stressful feelings, and it conditions our system to kind of have that almost like a muscle memory, so to speak, to where, when life hits you with that shit and you experience that stress and that emotions and that, and you face that fucking adversity, like, what to do. Like you don't shell up, you don't go running, you don't act like a bitch. Like you understand like what's happening because you've been through it before, and you push through and you get the fucking result. Like you got to go anyway. That's the difference between winners and losers, is like winners just get up and do the shit that they're supposed to do regardless of how they're feeling.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry, like I said, sorry for annoying you so many times.
No, man,
but
you weren't annoying me at all. So glad that you did.
Yeah. Guys, thank Chris for the interview, and I'll have all his Instagram and all that sort of stuff at the bottom of the YouTube and all that sort of stuff. So if you did want to get in touch, and we look forward to seeing Nutrition Solutions in Australia one day. You just never know.
Yeah,
All right.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on.
All right, man. Thanks very much. We appreciate it.